It sounded like the dream of a lifetime to be invited to an exclusive billionaire's private island party, but it quickly turns into a chilling nightmare. This young woman thought she was stepping into luxury when she got an invitation to this billionaire's party, but the dark truth behind these secret gatherings left her trapped in a reality she never imagined. At the start of the movie, we see Frida, who is a young woman who dreams of becoming a nail artist. She wants to specialize in animal-inspired designs, although she currently works as a waitress. Whenever possible, she shares her nail art online, hoping to gain recognition. One day, while surfing the net, she sees an interview featuring Slater King, who is a billionaire tech genius. Slater publicly apologizes for his past inappropriate behaviors, although he doesn't go into details. Then, he resigns as CEO of his company and also reveals that he's retreating to an island he had just purchased. Frida secretly admires Slater, but she now becomes very intrigued by him as she starts researching him obsessively online. At the same time, Frida feels stifled by her repetitive daily life and laments to her roommate, Jess, that she needs a change, perhaps a vacation. Shortly afterward, Frida and Jess get the opportunity to work as waitresses at Slater's extravagant annual gala. At the event, Frida is reminded by her boss to stay professional, particularly talking about what happened at last year's gala when she tried to approach Slater. The gala is a grand affair, with wealthy guests dressed in opulent attire, and Frida can't help but steal glances at Slater from afar. Later, Jess surprises Frida when she shows her the party dresses she got for them. The two change into the elegant outfits and mingle with the VIPs as they blend into the lavish scene. As Frida roams the party, she spots Slater and impulsively tries to approach him. However, in her nervousness, she collides with a waiter and falls, and this draws attention to her. To Frida's great surprise, Slater comes over and extends his hand to help her to her feet. Then they exchange pleasantries and Slater, who is intrigued by Frida, takes her to meet his friends. He introduces her to Dr. Rich, who is his therapist, Cody, Stan, Vic, and Heather and Camilla, who are two close friends. The group also includes a college graduate named Lucas, Tom, and Sarah, who is a reality TV star. Frida was thrilled by the unexpected turn of events, as she enjoys the evening filled with laughter, drinks, and light-hearted conversations. The festivities are interrupted when Slater's assistant, Stacy, announces that it's time for them to leave for the island. Frida feels disappointed as Slater bids her goodbye. However, as she's recounting the surreal experience to Jess, Slater reappears and extends an invitation for them to join him on his island. Without hesitation, they agree. The next scene shows the group boarding a private jet bound for the island. Upon arrival, Frida is amazed by the luxury of Slater's retreat. Before they settle in, Stacy collects everyone's phones to ensure a distraction-free getaway. Though Jess hesitates briefly, she ultimately complies. Slater personally escorts Frida to her room, which is fully stocked with designer clothes. After he leaves, she takes a refreshing shower and notices an exquisite perfume on the shelf, which she applies. As she's about to change, an elderly maid unexpectedly enters the room, staring at Frida intently and calling her Red Rabbit. Confused by the cryptic remark, Frida asks for clarification, but the maid leaves without explaining. Later, Frida reunites with Jess and remarks on the luxurious provisions, but her friend tells her that she is surprised by the preparation for them given that they had a last-minute invitation. He finds it very unusual, but Frida dismisses it as typical behavior for the wealthy. The women soon join the rest of the group by the pool, where Frida exchanges glances with Slater. And despite Sarah's attempts to flirt with him, Slater remains focused on Frida. During a private tour of the island, Slater shows Frida a rare flower called desideria, the key ingredient in the perfume she had noticed earlier. He also mentions the island's infestation of lash vipers, a venomous snake the workers are trying to eradicate. Slater then opens up about his past, revealing that he has no memories from before the age of 10. He credits Dr. Rich with helping him manage the gaps in his memory and remarks that sometimes forgetting is a blessing. The tour is interrupted when they see Stacy, who is carrying red gift bags. That evening, the group gathers for dinner by candlelight due to a power outage. During the meal, Vic teases Frida about her career ambitions. She explains she's still figuring things out, but when asked about her nail art brand, she eagerly describes her concept. That is when Vic tells Frida that her dress has stained, and then almost immediately, he shows everyone a drug that is specially prepared for them. Just a single drop sends them to euphoria, and they partied till late in the night. Later that night, Frida notices that the stain on her dress has mysteriously disappeared, something she finds strange. Over the following days, the group indulges in champagne, poolside relaxation, and gourmet dinners, with their nights filled with laughter and partying. However, strange moments begin to unsettle Frida. For instance, while examining Slater's vaporizer, she notices dirt under her fingernails, which makes her wonder how it got there. The next morning, she sees Dr. Rich as he leaves a therapy session with Slater. Frida jokes about their first meeting at the gala and references the playful blinking comment. Her comments seem to make Dr. Rich nervous, as he hesitantly acknowledges her and hurriedly leaves with one of Stacy's red gift bags. That is when Frida begins to sense that something unusual is happening on the island. One night, The group is enjoying themselves with dancing and laughter when a sudden scream shatters the merriment. When the group gets there, they see that Jess has been bitten by one of the snakes. In response, Slater quickly kills the snake with a bottle and assures Jess that its venom isn't fatal. Despite his reassurances, Jess grows increasingly agitated as she leaves the party in distress. Frida follows her to comfort her, but Jess insists that she wants her phone back and plans to leave the island immediately. She confides that something strange is going on and that the people around them feel unsettlingly odd. Frida, however, refuses to leave because for the first time in her life, she feels seen and important, unlike the invisibility she experienced before. She reminds Jess that this trip is the escape they had always dreamed of. Despite her initial hesitation, Jess reluctantly agrees to stay. But later that night, we see that while Jess is alone, she suffers an unexplained nosebleed. Then the following morning, Frida begins her day as usual, showering and applying the exotic perfume provided in her room. While wandering around the villa, she notices a red bag lying on the floor outside a room. Intrigued, she enters and discovers a large stash of similar red bags inside. At that moment, the old maid from before appears and calls her Red Rabbit again. She hands Frida a peculiar green liquid, which Frida drinks without hesitation. The maid then points to snake remains, revealing that the liquid is venom extracted from the snakes on the island. Disgusted by this, Frida rushes out of the room in panic. That night, Frida has a vivid dream where Jess is holding a knife and asking her to hide it. When she wakes up, she starts to feel ill, and her poor appearance catches Sarah's attention. Meanwhile, Lucas appears with a bruised eye, but the group seems unfazed by his injury, and in all this, no one even notices Jess's absence. During breakfast, the men excitedly plan a fishing trip while the women decide to stay behind. When one of the women pulls out Jess's lighter, Frida suddenly remembers and asks about Jess. To her shock, none of the women seem to recognize the name or recall anyone by that description. Alarmed by this, Frida rushes to Jess's room, only to find it completely empty, with the furniture stacked as if she had never been there. Now frightened, Frida retreats to her own room, where she discovers a knife hidden behind a mirror. Shortly after, Sarah appears, holding Jess's lighter. Frida insists that Jess was with them, but Sarah dismisses the claim, saying she would have remembered if there was another person with them. As they talk, Frida shares her growing unease about the strange occurrences, such as waking up each morning with dirt under her nails. Sarah confesses that she has also had similar experiences, waking up with unexplained bruises, and she doesn't know how she got them. Furthermore, she admits that the only person she knew prior to the trip was Cody, who had invited her after meeting her at a coffee shop. Drawing from these, the two immediately start to suspect that the men are manipulating them and their memories. Frida recalls Slater's cryptic remark that forgetting can be a gift, and they speculate that the perfume might contain a substance that erases memories. Frida also recalls how the snake venom given to her by the maid seemed to trigger fragments of her memory, and in a bid to uncover the truth, she finds more venom in the room and convinces Sarah to try it. They mix the venom with tequila and offer it to Heather and Camilla, hoping it will help them recover their memories. Stacy soon joins them and drinks as well. She then tells the women that the men will return shortly. Realizing time is running out, Frida searches for the group's confiscated phones. She asks Sarah to alert her if the men arrive. While Frida is searching, Sarah suddenly suffers a nosebleed, similar to the one Jess experienced. When the men return, Slater inquires about Frida's whereabouts, and Sarah calmly tells him that she's freshening up in her room. Meanwhile, Frida manages to sneak into Slater's private villa and finds a locked cupboard. Inside, she finds their phones but is distracted by the discovery of Polaroid photos depicting various individuals holding red bags. Moments later, Slater enters the room, completely unaware that Frida is hiding under his desk. As Slater retrieves liquid for his vape, Frida begins to experience disturbing flashes of memory triggered by the snake venom. She recalls herself and the other women restrained and terrified while the men had their way with them. It dawns on her that the venom had allowed Jess to remember everything, which is why Slater ordered Stan to kill her. Horrified by this revelation, Frida takes advantage of Slater's distraction to escape. Later on, Frida confides in Sarah about Jess's fate, and they realize the danger they are in. Fearing the same end, they decide to act normal until Heather and Camilla recover their memories. That evening, during dinner, Frida experiences a cascade of memories. She realizes that the men have been assaulting them nightly, and using the perfume to erase their memories. Frida recalls that Lucas had expressed discomfort with the horrific acts, but the other men pressured him, dismissing his reluctance as childish. She also remembers Dr. Rich assaulting her recently, and how anxious he was that she might recall the incident. Slater had assured the group that the more traumatic the memories, the easier they were to erase. This explains Dr. Rich's nervous demeanor when Frida seems to have recognized him earlier. In the present, Frida struggles to cover her unease after recalling the harrowing memories of what happened to her and the others. Sarah, too, now finds it difficult to pretend, but they both muster enough courage to join the others in dancing, turning the night into another lively gathering. Their forced excitement is interrupted by a sudden scream. It's Camilla, who has just regained her memories. Consumed by fury, Camilla attacks Tom, stabbing him repeatedly until he dies. However, Slater drags Camilla off Tom and restrains her. At the same time, Heather regains her memories and begins chasing Vic. Meanwhile, Sarah stabs Cody's hand and attempts to strike him again, but he manages to escape. Outside, Heather catches up to Vic and smashes his face with a chessboard. However, her victory is short-lived as Stan, the security guard, shoots her dead. Stan then spots Frida trying to flee and chases her into the woods. He eventually catches up with her, and as he prepares to shoot her, Sarah appears and strikes him with a heavy rock, killing him after repeated blows. Meanwhile, Slater drags a severely injured Vic and a bound Camilla into his private villa as Lucas, who has been using the memory-erasing perfume like the women, remains clueless about the chaos unfolding around him. So Slater, who knows that Lucas is still in confusion, coldly steps on Camilla's neck and kills her. Elsewhere, Frida frantically searches her room for a weapon when Stacy enters, visibly distressed. Frida realizes that Stacy's memories have also returned. However, unlike the others, Stacy has willingly embraced the effects of the perfume. She argues that forgetting is a blessing and accuses Frida of forcing her to relive traumatic events. A struggle ensues, and Frida ultimately stabs Stacy in self-defense and kills her. Meanwhile, Cody searches for the remaining women but meets a brutal end when Sarah shoots him dead. Lucas, who is still dazed, fails to comprehend why the women are acting violently. Later, Sarah reunites with Frida, who has discovered a Polaroid picture of herself in the mansion. Shockingly, the photo is dated a year earlier, indicating that Frida has been on the island before. Armed with this new knowledge, Frida and Sarah prepare for a final confrontation. They equip themselves with a knife and a gun, determined to end their tormentors once and for all. The two approach Slater's villa and demand that he open the door. When he refuses, Lucas takes it upon himself to open it. The moment he does, Sarah shoots him dead. But Slater quickly seizes the opportunity as he overpowers Frida and locks the door. Inside, Slater pushes her down and pins her to the floor. As she struggles, she recalls a pivotal moment from a year ago when she tried to escape but fell on a rock, leaving a scar on her face. She also remembers painting her nails with a red rabbit design and biting Vic's pinky finger during the ordeal. In the present, Slater tries to rationalize his actions, as he tells Frida that humanity would be better off without the burden of painful memories. He urges her to join him, use the perfume, and move on. While he continues to talk, Frida quietly uses a glass shard to cut herself free. In the meantime, Sarah begins shooting at the locked door but runs out of bullets. Slater eventually catches her and drags her inside as he sees that Frida is now free and armed with a knife. Once again, he overpowers Frida, but then he reassures her that he won't harm her as he considers her his best friend. Then, he inhales from his vape as he prepares to kill Sarah. However, he soon becomes disoriented, unable to comprehend his surroundings. Unknown to him, Frida had tampered with his vape liquid earlier, infusing it with the same memory-altering perfume he created. As Slater collapses in confusion, he accidentally knocks over some candles, igniting a fire that quickly spreads throughout the villa as Frida leaves Vic inside, but manages to drag Sarah with her. Outside, Sarah questions Frida's actions and wonders if she knows what she's doing. That is when the camera pans out, and it's revealed that Frida has also saved Slater from the fire. Sometime later, we see that Slater's company is hosting another gala as he appears dazed and confused when approached by Dr. Rich, who wishes to speak with him privately. But before the conversation can proceed, Frida intervenes, informing Dr. Rich that Slater is unavailable. To the doctor's shock, Frida is now married to Slater and has assumed control of his company as the new CEO. When Frida tells Dr. Rich that she remembers everything, he becomes visibly nervous, and as the film ends, it's revealed that Frida has been secretly drugging Slater's vape to keep him disoriented and compliant to her, ensuring he remains under her control while she executes her plans. And that is the recap of the movie Blink Twice. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more movie recaps like this on this channel, leave a comment for us, and also drop a like on the video. Thanks for watching.